This is exactly the spark the Bills needed. What a game. What a finish. What a way to cap off the start of the season. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bills Digest. I'm your host, Anthony Senicar, and we are officially in the full swing of the NFL season. There's only one issue. 73% of you guys who are watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. Subscribe, join the army here at Bills Digest to stay in touch with all your latest Bills news, because we got you guys covered from wall to wall. But let's get right into it. Like I said, guys, this game will be the spark that starts a magical run for the rest of the Bills season. The Bills pull off the improbable comeback in the fourth quarter against the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They win in the final game, or final home opener at Highmark Stadium, with one for the ages, one that will be talked about for years and years to come. They defeat the Baltimore Ravens at a score of 41-40 with a walk-off game-winning field goal by Matt Prater, who the Bills just signed last Thursday. He talked about it in his post-game interview. He was on the Red Eye Wednesday, walked into the building, became the starting kicker with Tyler Bass on IR, and he has himself a game-winning field goal in a crazy game in his return back to football. If you guys don't believe me, just take a look at this win probability graph. Look how crazy that is. There was a point in this game where the Bills were down by 15 and the Ravens had almost 100% chance of winning the game. The game is not over until the clock strikes 0, and the Bills prove that. It was a crazy game to be at, a crazy game to witness. Fans were leaving at certain points when they were down by 15 after that big Derrick Henry run. It was just crazy, but the Bills were able to pull it off, and they are just already breaking records and setting to the tone for what this season is going to be. The Buffalo Bills are the first team in NFL history to be down by 15-plus points with under 4 minutes left and win the game in regulation. It was crazy. There was some good, there was some bad. We'll start off with the good. Josh Allen puts on the Superman capes and claws the Bills back into this game. The Bills snatch, what's the saying? They snatch the victory out of the mouth of defeat, or something like that. But Josh's stats were crazy. Take a look at this. 33 of 44, 394 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, 30 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs. What's crazier? Josh Allen is the first player in NFL history to have 250-plus passing yards, 2 rushing TDs in any single quarter of any game. He did it in the fourth quarter to bring his team back from a 15-point deficit. And when Josh needed to be great on 3rd and 4th down, was he ever great? Josh Allen on 3rd and 4th down versus Ravens. 9 of 10, 115 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns. Josh went Superman. He looked very, very good. Now, with this offense, there's good takeaways and bad takeaways. Josh is not going to be able to have performances like this week in and week out. We can't keep asking him to put on his Superman cape. And there were points of this game where this offense looked sluggish. Joe Brady, I understand you want to establish a run, but sometimes you have to let Josh play football. During the 2-minute drill, the Bills looked phenomenal. It looked like the prime peak Brian Daboll Bills offense, gunning it down the field, making plays to receivers, great catches, down the field play, chunk plays, getting there fast. The Bills need to find, or the Bills and Joe Brady need to find a mix of that Joe Brady run-heavy, screen game, intermediate, take what the defense gives you, and a mix of that Brian Daboll down the field, get points fast, get big chunk plays. They need to find something that meshes. And listen, When the Bills can get what that 2-minute drill offense is with that Joe Brady offense, it is going to be insane, and I cannot wait. It is only the first game of the season, and there were flashes of good and flashes of bad from the offense with Joe Brady's play calling. But when the game was up against the line and the Bills needed points, the Bills reverted back to what Josh Allen does best: chunk plays, hurry up offense, and beating or finding matchups where the Bills are going to win constantly. On top of that, a big talk of the offseason was that of the Bills receiver core, and I think the Bills might have found their number one receiver. Keon Coleman finished the game 8 for 112, one touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 6 for 64. Joshua Palmer, 5 for 61. Jimbo, 5 for 58. That big play that kind of shifted momentum. That dump off that went for 40-plus yards. Dalton Kincaid looked very good with that opening touchdown, 4 for 48. Haas, 1 for 29, but that 29-yard catch was crazy. It was improbable. And for the guts for Josh to rip it to a third-string tight end in the middle of the field and for him to come down with it, that was insane. Dawson Knox, 2 for 20. Elijah Moore and Ray Davis, again, nothing to write home about, 1 for 3 and 1 for -1. But the receiver core looks good. Keon is going to be the number one outside guy on this team. He looked like a new and improved Keon, went up for jump balls and cleaned up the dirty work and got balls when he needed them. Khalil Shakir is still going to be the quote-unquote number one on this team over Keon Coleman, just as the option. But underneath routes, little screen game, little dump offs, he was great on yards after the catch. Dalton Kincaid looks like what the Bills wanted from him when they drafted him. He looks like he's going to be a very good tight end in this league this season. And obviously the screen game with Jimbo still very good. So there was some good on offense. The new worked receiver room looked really good. Joshua Palmer also looked good in that fourth quarter. A man beater who was winning his matchup. So there's a lot of good to take from this. I think the Bills offense will keep on improving and developing as the season progresses. But to come out of a win against the Ravens and be first in the AFC with the Ravens losing, the Chiefs losing, this is good for the 1 seed hopes, and this is going to be very good come those weeks 15, 16, 17, because you already have a win on the head-to-head over the Ravens. Now, moving on to the defensive side of the ball. Derrick Henry gashed us, had a career day. Lamar Jackson gashed us, was great on the ground, great passing. Zay Flowers looked really good. And the Bills defense allowed 40 points. They were down by 15 at one point, as we saw. The Bills couldn't stop the run. Derrick Henry was having his day. There was obviously the point in the game where Joey Bosa and Groot were chasing after Lamar. It looked like it was going to be a sack. It looked like momentum was shifting. Joey Bosa goes for a leg. He falls. Greg Rousseau trips up over him. Lamar bursts down for a 20-plus yard run. And after that, with momentum fully in the Ravens side, the Ravens turn around, hand it off to Derrick Henry. He busts down for a touchdown. It looked like the game was over after that point. But what happens? Well, Ed Oliver had a career day, and he had a game-changing play. He had the fumble on Derrick Henry, which started the comeback for the Bills. But he had an insane day. He looked like a man possessed. 7 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble against Derrick Henry, which got the Bills back and started this comeback, and 1 sack early against Lamar Jackson. I am excited to see what this Bills D-line looks like from here on out. If this is what Ed Oliver sets the standard for the start of the season, if he keeps up with this, he is going to have an all-pro season. Joey Bosa started off slow out the gates. The Ravens noticed that that Bosa kept on biting on the read option to the running back, and they took full advantage of that, targeting him multiple times with Lamar. He would go for the running back, Lamar would keep it and run for 10, 15 yards. As the game went on, he got into it and didn't bite so heavy. He did have that forced fumble against Justice Hill, which turned what looked like was going to be a 7-point drive into a 3-point drive. So as the game progressed, Joey Bosa really grew into the game. And listen, the Bills only had 1 or 2 sacks on the day, but it's Lamar Jackson. You're not going to get him on the ground. But if it's against a pocket passer, and if the pressure is there the same way it was there against Lamar, the Bills are going to have a field day feasting on sacks. The pocket broke down in 2 to 3 seconds constantly. Rousseau and Joey Bosa were pushing him inside to Ed. Ed was pushing him outside, and Bosa and Greg Rousseau were there. And if it was a Tua, if it was a Joe Burrow, if it was any of these guys who stand in the pocket and go for a throw, it is going to be a field day for the Bills. Still a ton to work on. The safeties, which were a big question mark going into this, look shaky. Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop's had a few moments of taking wrong angles on Derrick Henry runs, taking wrong angles on Zay Flower catches. On that DeAndre Hopkins one-handed catch, Taylor Rapp looked a few steps behind. But as the season progresses, we'll see how that develops. There could be the point of where DeMar Hamlin gets propelled into the starting lineup if the Bills don't like what goes on with Cole Bishop. But give them a few more weeks. Let's see them kind of develop and ease into the season. They didn't get too much time together back there in the secondary during preseason with Cole Bishop out. So let's see what the defense and the secondary is like in a few weeks. Then we can really judge to see if the Bills need to look outside for a safety, like bringing in Jordan Poyer from the practice squad, or DeMar Hamlin gets to start in that secondary. The 7th round or 6th round rookie looked pretty decent for getting his first career start. Christian Benford had his moments where he came down and got tackles on Derrick Henry. So again, we'll see what this defense as a whole turns into. But what is Sean McDermott? His philosophy always is bend, don't break. Well, the Bills kept breaking and giving up touchdowns, but when it mattered, the Bills really did bend, not break. After scoring 40 points in 8 drives and gaining 410 yards on those drives, the Ravens' final 3 drives. Punt, 3 and out, 6 yards. Fumble, 2 plays, 4 yards. Punt, 3 and out, 7 yards. The Bills really did not bend and break in those final 3 drives. The defense showed up when it mattered. And what did I say when I previewed this game? I said turnovers are going to be the Bills' key to victory. The Ravens played a clean game. The Bills played a clean game. But there was one crucial turnover, the punch-out by Ed Oliver, that led to the fumble and Terrell Bernard picking it up. And that is what won the Bills the game. Now, let's look at this picture. Let's look at this as a whole. The Bills did get lucky. John Harbaugh on that 4th and 3 should have ran it. You had Derrick Henry in the backfield. You could have gone for a first down, iced the game, but he didn't. It is good to see that the Bills, after years and years of being on the wrong side of these games of the year, against the Buccaneers a few years ago, against the Philadelphia Eagles a few years ago, 13 seconds, the Arizona Cardinal game a few years ago, any KC playoff game, the list goes on and on. The Vikings game, the Bills were on the winning side of this. And I don't know if it's maybe just because of how I feel or what it is, but this has a different feel to it. This feels like the winds are pushing and blowing in the Bills' direction. And I think, like I said before, this game is going to be the spark to a historical, a special run of the season for the Bills. And what a way to cap off the first game of the season than with the game-winning field goal from Matt Prater. Let's see what the rest of the season entails. Like I said, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I want to hear from you guys below in the comments. What did you guys like about what you saw? What did you guys not like about what you saw? Let me know your thoughts below. As always, guys, we are on the road to 1,000 1,000 subscribers, so every little bit helps. Let's get over that 1,000 subscriber mark, because I want you guys to subscribe and stay in touch here at Bills Digest for all your latest Bills news, because we got you guys covered for the rest of the season from wall to wall. And like I always say, guys, go Bills.